Alrighty, everybody. It is currently Friday, March 27th, 2026, and I'm coming at you live from an EU Goyam euthanasia chamber. I guess that's the big piece of news that I wanted to talk about for this week that I just generally know about. Like most of the other news, I just Google news before and I just click on whatever articles I think are retarded. Like the most retarded articles is usually what I click on. So today we're talking about the No Kings protest. um, uh, and then I'll also ask ChatGPT about it, which I'm sure that's exactly what they want. I'm sure exactly what they want you to do is to get all your information from ChatGPT. In which case, you got me. Hey, I got. Well, we all get got. The Jews are really good at funneling information. You know what I mean? Like every single generation has their Jewish like media pipeline. Like the boomers have, like Fox News for the right wing, and then like CNN and MSNBC for the left wing. Uh, kind of the same for Gen X, but they're a little bit more NPR-ish. The millennials have just countless YouTubers who are all paid off. And then, my generation has obviously the social media and also the GPT, which is really good at like reinforcing ideas and stuff like that. So hey, we got guy. What do you gonna say? I always give him credit. You could call me an anti-Semite, but uh you can't call me unfair. You can't call me unfair. The boys are always getting credit for me for how they're doing it. They're doing a good job with it. But the one piece of news I did hear about this week, that I didn't have to Google or ask ChatGPT about was this 25-year-old woman in Spain. Apparently, as a kid, the state, the Spanish government took her away from her family, put her in this group home, and in this group home, she was supposedly, and I have no reason not to believe this, repeatedly and brutally gang raped by third world barbarian savages that are being imported into Spain for no logical reason. There is a logical reason, but you get called a conspiracy theorist if you say it out loud. But anyway, and then, she's 25 now and she's doing medically assisted euthanasia or whatever the fuck they call it. And here's my thing, first of all, about medically assisted euthanasia or suicide. I mean, it's suicide. I don't know why I'm trying to use like, how some people, like some social media people will be like, and then he raped and SA'd her. No, we'll say rape and sexually assaulted, sexually battered even on here. So yeah, medically assisted suicide though, I get it to an extent, right? Because some people are like, well, if you're like 85 years old and you have stage 4 lung cancer and you just want to die, then you should be able to do that. And I fully agree. But here's the thing about it. If you want to kill yourself, you should kill yourself. You know what I mean? Because they'll call it medically assisted suicide. It's not it's just a different word for like murder. Basically, right? Like if you want to kill yourself, I'm not saying go for it, right? I'm not that's not what I'm saying here. But if you are like 84 years old, you have like stage 4 cancer, you saw the grandkids grow up and all that bullshit, and you're just fucking done with it all. You know what I mean? I understand taking yourself out of the game, but you got to do it yourself. You know what I mean? And you got to do it. I would choose to do it in a fun way. I would choose pills or something like that. But if you want to be dramatic, like if you really hate your family, blow your brains out and like spray it all over the wall and make someone find the scene and clean it up and stuff like that. But yeah, if you want to kill yourself, it should actually be suicide, right? It shouldn't be a doctor killing you instead. Um, but yeah, That was the big piece of news, and I don't really have any opinions about it that haven't been stated, uh, written ad nauseum on Twitter by Indian bots, right? I have no original opinion about it. Yeah, it's the West has fallen, dude. The chuds have been right since the beginning. Um, since like I don't know, like 2019 or whenever all that shit started. I'm trying to remember the first time I saw Chud. Chud, I wasn't really on social media until like 2022. So 2022 might have been my first run in with the Chud, dude. My first Chud in. Um, yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's getting wild out there, and everyone's like, "Are we just gonna let this keep happening?" And I think so. I think that it's sort of been lost. Like, I just watched this or I started watching this documentary. I didn't finish it because it was a documentary about this, like, apparently Albania used to be communist, and then they switched to, like, a capitalist system, but the thing was that the government started all, like, these investments accounts and all that shit, and they promised, like, 70% interest monthly, which is not possible, right? Unless you're like Israel and you're just like funneling money from the United States taxpayer, 70%, return on investment basically is not possible. And so they started like a civil uprising that almost turned into a civil war, dude. Albania almost had a civil war because they got scammed out of all their money. And they really didn't even have money before that, right? I don't know how it works when you switch from communism to capitalism. It's just like, does everyone start off with like 50K or something like that? That would be sick. That would be a sick experiment that I think we should run in America. Just start it all from scratch. Everyone gets 50K. There's gonna be a lot of new Jordans bought. I'll say that much. If we ran an experiment like that in the United States of America, if everyone just got 50, I mean, everyone got like, what was it, like 2 grand for the Corona stimulus check? And I mean, probably at least 5 million pairs of new Jordans were bought. were bought, dude. That might have, the coronavirus stimulus check might have just been like it might have just been that Nike like lobbying the government to give free money to black people because they knew they would just instantly spend it on sneakers. That might have been what the coronavirus stimulus check was. But yeah, point is, no, we're not going to do anything, you know? And I don't mean we as in white people, but we as in like Western placated, domesticated animals, basically. We're not gonna do anything, dude. When a fucking farmer takes a cow away and slaughters it and turns it into fucking summer sausage or whatever, the rest of the cows don't start grabbing pitchforks and shit, chasing after the farmer. They just go back to eating because that's what they're bred to do. And that's what Americans have been, socially bred to do uh, since a certain country was founded in 1948 and probably even before that. We've been turned into cattle. You know, they compare us to cattle already, and then they were like, "Well, we might as well turn them into cattle," and they did a pretty fucking good job doing it. Because you see some real fat motherfuckers around, and I will say this about fat people. My friend, for some reason, has like a deep found hatred of fat people driving small cars or just fat people driving in general, which is like that's like 95% of America at this point. It's just fat people sitting in the biggest car you've ever seen in like a fucking F-150 driving to their house in their suburban hellscape. That's roughly 95% of what this country is at this point. But also, another thing that I hate fat people doing is giving advice. Because it's like you everyone knows it's unhealthy to be fat. Even the people who are like healthy at any size or whatever, beautiful at any size, obviously there's Jamaicans. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but healthy at any size is a ridiculous thing to say. It's nonsense, and everyone knows it. I've been fat, I've been not fat, I've been skinny fat before, and I can tell you, being fat just sucks. Generally sucks. Even if all your measurables are great, you know what I mean? Like your blood pressure and all that bullshit, it's still it's not great to be fat, you know? And so everyone knows being fat is not good for you. You know what I mean? I don't think morally it makes you a bad person. Maybe in some ways it does, you know, especially if you're like a hardcore Christian. Like being a fat Christian is kind of like it's kind of blasphemy. Like if you had a fat priest or a fat preacher or something like that, you'd be like, dude, isn't the body a temple to God? I don't think God intended for you to be a fucking beanbag, right? I don't know. Start calling out fat preachers, I guess. But anyway, everyone knows being fat is bad, and everyone knows how to not be fat, and yet there are still many fat people out there. Some would say, including me. I still do got a bit of pudge on me, so some would say even I am fat. But like a real fat motherfucker telling you what to do with your life, or really giving you advice when it comes to anything, it's like, what do you know? What do you know? Right? And it's like, even if they do know what they're talking about, it's still a thing of like you might know what you're talking about, but you clearly aren't a person who practically applies knowledge, right? You're not a person who does that sort of thing. Clearly, as I can see, you're 300 pounds. You know how to not be 300 pounds, and you know the negative consequences of being 300 pounds, and yet you still are. Um, And so that's kinda why it's hard to take that was, like, my logical explanation of why I don't like taking advice from fat people, but also they're just kinda gross to look at. They're just kind of it's just not very fun looking at fat people. And so, yeah, really, really fat being fat sucks. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. Yeah, I'm not taking advice from a fat person for reasons I previously stated, even if it was an incoherent statement, it was still a statement. Okay. There's one thing I can learn from Joe Biden is that you can constantly make completely incoherent statements and people will agree with you. And speaking of people agreeing with me, I think I'm going to drop out of college, guys. I think it's time. I think it's time for me to drop out of school, stop learning about gay ass genetics or whatever, because I got 27 followers on Spotify. Checked my Spotify thing right before I recorded this. We're up to 27. Um, yeah, I think it's done. I think it's over with. I figured out the formula. 20s. No, I am very grateful for everyone that has even listened to a second of this really bad piece of content. It's really what it is. Not bad in its moral message, although some people might argue that it is bad in its moral message, and they might not exactly be wrong. Um, but bad in terms of its entertainment value, because there are plenty of bad things out there. I would say most modern American media that are bad in their moral messages, but it's really fucking entertaining. It's really entertaining to watch that shit. Like Euphoria, Euphoria is I don't even know if it's bad in its moral messaging. I don't know what the moral message is of Euphoria, but I do think the consequences of watching it are negative. And yet still I watched that train and get plowed by that old guy. Okay? I watched a 16-year-old trainee get dicked down by an old ass man. And I'm not sorry for it. Okay? I'm not sorry for it. But yeah, thank you everyone so much. 27. Uh Not really a special number to me, but it's a new number in terms of the amount of followers I've had on Spotify, and it's a new number to me personally. I didn't know anything existed past 26. I've always been a real big 26 guy. Um, Not when it comes to women though. 26 is, I would say, if you're a 26-year-old woman, then medically assisted suicide is beyond appropriate. I would say it's necessary if you're a 26-year-old woman, right? Like, let's just call a spade a spade. 16-year-olds are the hottest chicks. Guys, I promise I'm not an Angolan migrant living in Spain. Um, I promise I'm not one of those, even though I just said exactly what they're all thinking, and even 16 might be old for them. Now that I'm thinking it out loud, you know what I mean? Like when a 16 year or when an Angolan migrant with an IQ of 68 is roaming the streets of Barcelona with a pack of his friends, pack of his compatriots, and he's looking for a young girl to brutally gang rape, and then not receive a prison sentence for. He's probably not looking for a 16-year-old. He's probably, he's from Angola. Women have like 8 kids by the time they're 16 in Angola. He's probably looking for some prime pussy. Um, not prime to him. Prime to him. Dug myself at all, dude. I regularly do that. Regularly dig myself in a hole. Um, and I don't know if I'm, because everyone's like, don't dig that hole any deeper for yourself. I don't think I'm that type of person, but I'm also not digging my way out of the hole. I'll just sit in the hole, dude. Anyone who's ever been in a hole before is really not that bad. Like when we were doing, uh, at my house, we dug these water lines, and around where I live, there's like a ton of rocks in the ground. And so we had to dig this huge, like wide, like probably 3 foot wide trench, probably 4 feet deep, something like that. And, I was younger. And so my dad sent me down in the trench to like pull all the rocks out and stuff. It was very nice down in that hole. It was nice and cool. It was a hot summer's day. It was summer or spring. It was hot as fuck outside. Uh, it had to have been spring because I remember while we were doing it, I was thinking about because I was so pissed off. We worked for like 17 hours that day, and I was so fucking pissed off. I was so angry, especially towards the end. And I remember being like, when I get to school tomorrow, I'm gonna bully the fuck out of someone because I had to deal with this bullshit. I was like, I'm gonna find someone and just piss them off to no end because I'm pissed off right now. Which, if you were ever bullied in high school and you were wondering why that happened, it's because the dude was pissed off and he wanted to piss someone else off. Coming from the horse's mouth. I guess I'm not really a horse. I'm more of like a pony or even a donkey. I'm pretty. I'm small, but I'm stout. So I'd say maybe I'm more along the lines of a donkey. Um, but yeah, I'll sit in the hole, dude. I'll dig a hole for myself and just sit in it. It's nice and cool, perfect humidity. I don't know. Dirt feels good. Dirt feels good when you're just chilling. And so yeah, that's probably why that chick killed herself. That 25-year-old chick probably killed herself because she was like, I'm 25. I'm an old geriatric wench. I haven't even had 8 kids yet. I should probably kill myself. Um, because it's the truth. If you're a 25-year-old woman and you haven't produced at least 4 offspring, you have served no purpose in your life. No, once again, not I'm not an Afghani illegal immigrant in the UK. I don't believe that. Um, although if you are a 25-year-old woman and you've had 4 kids, good for you. I don't know. I don't know if it's better to have kids when you're younger or older. Everyone always says like having kids destroys your body if you're a woman. I don't know how true that is. Because it's like isn't that the whole reason it's designed? Right? Isn't that exactly what it's designed to do? It would be like if I was a dude and I was like, yeah, dude, I jogged. I've just been jogging a whole lot and it's destroying my body. It's like then there's something wrong with your body, because that's what the human body is designed for. The human body is designed to like jog at a five mile per hour pace for like 20 hours straight. It's, it's literally exactly what our body's built for. And so if you're jogging all the time and you're like, it's fucking me up, it's destroying me, um, then you're one of the cattle. Hey, and look, I'm one of the cattle too. When I fucking jog, my knees hurt like a motherfucker, right? I'm one of the cattle, okay? I'm not too proud to admit it. I'm out here mooing. I'm out here munching on grass. I'm out here It's really all cows do. When you look at a lot of animals, really there's a significant proportion of them that all they do is just eat things that shouldn't be eaten all day, right? Like a koala. A koala's entire thing is like eating poison leaves for 4 hours a day and then sleeping for like 20 hours because it's eating poisoned leaves all day. Same with like a panda. It's like, I don't know. It's another major misstep in evolution. And no one eats koala. Koalas are truly some of the most useless creatures on the planet. No one even fucking eats koalas, right? Like, I don't even think Chinese people fucking eat koalas, and they eat everything. So it's like, what? I don't understand what purpose a koala serves. Like, everyone, like during those Australian bushfires, everyone was like, "Oh, well, what about the koalas?" And it's like, what about them? Fucking let them burn, save all the other animals that actually do shit. Koalas do not do shit all day. Literally, they do nothing. I don't know what service they provide to like the environment because they're eating leaves, so they're like killing trees and all that stuff. So I don't know. Maybe the trees they're eating on need to be slowed down a little bit. You know, they're eating the leaves, slowing down the rate of photosynthesis. Maybe that's the purpose they serve, but I really have no idea what they do. No one eats them. I don't think the Aboriginals were munching on koala meat like that. Although a koala leg would, they got good looking legs. I feel like some fried up koala. Get get a butchered koala to like a fat black woman living in Mississippi. I feel like she could make that taste good. Make it taste pretty good. Koalas got good legs on them. Yeah. But I don't think they do shit all day. They're just some of the most useless, truly useless creatures on the planet. All they do is consume and sleep. Much like Americans. Americans are and really all of the West at this point are kind of the koalas of humanity. Um, and look, there's worse things than being a koala, right? You could be a Jew. So there's worse things than being a koala, but we are koalas, dude. We provide truly no the only service we provide to the rest of the world is being like the taxpayers. It's all we do. It's all we do. It's just consume, pay taxes, and sleep. It's the only three things anyone in this country does. And I don't even pay taxes. Right? I don't even fucking pay taxes. Partially because I don't really work all that much, and then partially because my money does not come in a way that I want the government to know about it, right? I don't want the government to know how I make my money for a number of reasons. Um, but yeah, we are the koalas of people. We've been bred into being koalas. You know, I compared us to cattle earlier, and I guess to an extent we are more cattle-like than we are koala-like because the cattle is used for its like meat and milk and stuff like that. West Western, specifically Western white people are used for their taxes, right? Get a bunch of tax money out of us, whether you're Israel or you know a Jew who's not from Israel or an Afghani migrant with 13 kids that you had with your cousin, whatever it is, you're getting the meat and milk out of the white Western cattle. So what we are. Um, yeah, I don't want to turn into Nick Fuentes though. I really don't because it's like you can't talk about it's really hard to be a white supremacist and then also be like, and we're getting destroyed by these other lesser groups of people. It's like, well, which are you then? You you cannot be a white supremacist and at the same time be crying about how unfair everything is, right? And how because it's like, well, if it's unfair, then and if you are a white supremacist and you believe that white people are superior, then it's like, then use your superiority for something. You know what I mean? I think it's really hard to be like, we're just inherently superior, inherently better at everything. And then at the same time, you know what I mean? Often in this, in the same breath being like, but we're getting taken advantage of. I don't know. It's just really hard to, because you can maybe say that white people are better at some things, right? You could say that because it's true. But you can't be like, we're number one just really when it comes to everything. I think that's it's a hard point to make, is that white people are number one when it comes to everything. And yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm not a white supremacist, and I've seen way too much fucking white trash in my life to be a white supremacist. I've hated far too many white people to be a white supremacist. And then also, I am a bit of a mudblood. So, yeah, it's just hard for me to reconcile that. You know what I mean? I've seen way too many dudes with no socks on wearing skateboarding sneakers begging for pennies so they can buy cigarettes at a gas station. I've seen way too many way too many examples of that. You know what I mean? Everyone knows the type of white trash, like kind of country white trash, but not really even country. You know what I mean? They're not like farm people. They just live in rural areas because it's all they can afford. And they wear like big old basketball shoe or shorts, and then they have like skateboarding shoes with the fattest fucking tongues you've ever seen in your entire life. And they do not have socks on. Usually have a shaved head and some shitty tattoo on their track marked skinny arms. You know what I mean? That type of white dude or that type of white trash. I've just seen way too much of it. And I don't even live in the prime area for it. Like you go to West Virginia or Kentucky, that's like 95% of the population there is white dudes with buzz cuts who wear wife beaters and one shorts begging for quarters so that they can buy a pack of fucking Virginia Slims or whatever. That's 95% of Virginia's pop or West Virginia's population. That's who they are. And you know, at least they're not cattle, I guess. That's kind of what you can say about those people. They're not cattle. They're the opposite of cattle. They're the farmer. They're milking us for our taxpayer dollars. Although when you get into like rural shit, really the only people getting stealing from the taxpayer in rural areas is like farmers, and not even like a dude who's like raising chickens or whatever, uh, with his trad wife, fucking milkmaid. Right? Not even that type of dude, but like big like corn farmers. They get like a ton of fucking subsidies from the government and all that shit. Corn is a dirty business. Corn is a downright disgusting business in terms of its corruption and shit. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how dirty corn can get. But yeah, like a dude who lives in like the Ozark Mountains down in Arkansas or whatever, he's not he cannot even steal from the government because he's so geographically isolated. Right? Like white trash usually is pretty geographically isolated. They don't really live in city centers or urban areas, really. And because of that, they're unable to leech off the hardworking Americans of all races, right? Of all races. There's plenty of there's plenty of Asian cattle out there. There's plenty of black cattle out there. Whites aren't the only Western cattle that are milked for their taxpayer money, but they're most of it, right? Most of it is the honks just out there getting milked, dude, and not in a fun way. You know what I mean? It's not a milking table type of milk. And look, we've all seen the milking table videos where a guy like sits down on a massage table and some woman dressed in full leather wearing latex gloves comes and gives him an incredibly sensual hand job. We've all seen that. And that's not the type of milking that the taxpayers are getting. You know what I mean? That's not the type of milking that the Westerners are getting. Not getting milked like that. Wish we were, dude. Really? You really want to turn us into cattle? Start milking us like that too, dude. I'll go full fucking cow mode. Bring like a Chinese sex slave in to give me a lubed up, a sloppy ass hand job. I'll go full cattle, dude. I'll start paying taxes. Who are we invading now? We're invading another country that just so happens to hate Israel. It's not because they hate Israel. That's not why we're invading them. It's just that all of them happen to. It's just pure happenstance that every country we invade has a little beef with the Jays. Has a little bit of beef with them. Um, yeah, I got nothing else. Oh, I've been playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, um, which is, I think they call it a role-playing game, like an RPG. I don't know about all the different types of games and all that shit. I really do like video games, play them a fair amount, um, but I'm not like a video game nerd. I just like playing the finished product, and really only to the extent of just entertainment. I don't really like anything uh other than that about video games. But Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, if you can't tell by the name, it's a medieval knight game. Uh where you play as this dude in Bohemia, which is like modern day Czech Republic in the 15th century. I think it's like the early 1400s is when you're playing it. Um but like the thing I've kind of slowly found out as I get more and more into medieval shit is that a lot of the people who are really into it, right? Like the people who make the games and a lot of the podcasts I listen to about it and stuff, they're libs. And they're not like leftists. I don't know what I always hear people being like, I'm not a liberal, I'm a leftist. I don't know what that means, but they're like libs, like a classic what you think of as a lib, you know, like a Kamala voter is how I would describe a lot of the people who are into this. And I was trying to figure it out. I was just like, what sort of weird confluence has gone on here? I don't know if confluence is the right word there. It's probably not, but what sort of weird steps have happened in society and in this person's life to where libs are like venerating medieval warlords, right? Because these medieval warlords do not align with their beliefs at all, and they're like hyping these people up. It's not like they're talking about them in a purely like educational context or whatever, where they're just trying to convey information. They're like, no, I agree with these people. Like one of the people I learned about recently is this guy Owain Glyndor. It's something like that. But he was like a Welsh rebel. He was like a Welsh dude who fought against the English so that Wales could get its independence and all that good shit. Wales did fight a lot of rebellions, not successful. The Scottish were able to hold out for a while, not the fucking Welsh. They really got trounced by the fucking English. Um, but they were talking about this dude, and they were like praising him and being like, "Oh my god, he's so cool" and all that stuff. And it's like this guy Owain or Owen, that would be like the modern version of that name. This guy Owen, I'll just call him Owen. He was like a Welsh nobleman, like an incredibly high ranking, like the top Welsh nobleman in the country. And he was also Welsh, and he was a fucking warlord who was like pillaging and looting the English countryside, right? It's like obviously he's like a medieval prince, and so he's super into God, and they were Catholic at that point. I don't know if what Wales is Catholic now, but they were definitely Catholic at that point. So this is like a incredibly conservative, by modern standards, probably what they would consider a Nazi, right? Like he's Welsh and he's fighting against the English so that Wales can have its independence. That's like a level of racism that's hard for like the modern American brain to truly comprehend. It's really hard for the modern American brain to be like, is there even a difference between Welsh people and English people? Like even genetically, is there a difference between these two people? Right? Um, which yeah. And so it was just weird to hear these people be venerated um by like hardcore like NPR style libs who are like the ultra tolerant, like just let people be happy. Which is one of the funniest things that like libs like to say. Don't get me wrong. The MAGA, you know, conservative retards, they have a lot of dumb shit too, but the libs with their just let people be happy is like, I don't know. Dahmer was pretty happy chopping up dudes and eating them and shit like that. He was probably smiling fucking ear to ear when he had a butcher knife and he was taking some dude's hamstring off to make a pot roast out of it, right? He was probably pretty fucking happy what he was doing there. He was probably like, I could if you put yourself in Dahmer's shoes, if you truly, like, forget about the morality of it all, and you're put yourself in the brain of a modern cannibal, right? Imagine being a person who lives in modern America, and you just have, like, a deep, innate, like, built-in impulse to eat people. Like, it's all you wanna do all day. There's, like, really nothing more taboo than eating people, at least in America. In, like, Liberia, that's Tuesday, right? Dahmer probably would've been pretty happy in Liberia or Haiti or something like that. He would've been going hog wild. He would've been munching dudes left and right, but in America, no good. You can't eat people here. Um, although we're importing a lot of people who think it's okay to eat people, but anyway. Anyway. Dahmer, he just wanted to eat people. It's all he thought about. If I had to guess, right? I would say he's like a fentanyl addict almost, or even like a recovered addict. Like that's like probably the hardest part of being an addict is like being in the recovered section of it, right? Where you're like fully sober because all you're thinking about is injecting like meth or whatever and just the euphoria that that would bring. That's essentially what Dahmer is, but instead of injecting crystal meth, you know what I mean, in a Starbucks bathroom in Portland or whatever, he's thinking about tearing off a dude's toenail and using it as a tortilla chip. That's what Dahmer's thinking about all day for his entire life, like since he was a kid, probably he had these ideations about eating people, wanting to slurp brains out of the skull like it's a fucking cherry slushy from 7-Eleven. It's all he thought about all day. Popping out a couple of eyeballs. Probably popping those eyeballs into his butt because he was gay. uh, Popping those eyeballs into his butt and then probably eating them after he pops them into his butt. Um, But that's just it was on his mind 24/7, and then he finally gets his hands on some gay black dude that he has the guy drugged, and he's looking at him on the ground, and he's just I can't imagine how happy he was. I cannot imagine how happy he was. Because speaking of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I was playing this mission yesterday. If you wanna play this game, it's really fun, I'm really enjoying it. D Despite a little bit of libbiness in it, it's got a little bit, but I don't know, people who complain about that shit when they're like, "Oh, it's I was trying to watch this movie, but it was just you could tell it was made by liberals or whatever." It's like, yeah, no shit. You just gotta take it how it comes, all right? There's gonna be lib shit in every piece of media. They have all of it. There's gonna be other types of influences, political, ethnic influences in every type of media. But anyway, I was playing this mission and I kept getting my ass kicked. Every time I tried to do it, I was getting my ass kicked and I was getting my ass kicked and I reloaded some old saves and did some stuff that would probably help me in the mission. Um, and I eventually beat it after probably close to 2.5 hours of trying. I finally beat this mission, and it was a feeling of gratification that we've all felt it, you know, especially if you're a man. You've felt this type of gratification before, right? Especially if you're a man who's played video games. When you just flex every fucking muscle in your body and you like clench your teeth together, you go, "Don't fuck with me. I'm better than everyone else." Right? When you as a white man are ready to salute Hitler, right? Like that feeling when you're just like, I want to fucking salute Hitler. Um, We've all experienced that feeling before. Or if you're listening to this, you probably have. And I don't think that that level of gratification and that level of elation is even close to what Jeffrey Dahmer felt when he was butchering up a 12-year-old Cambodian boy to turn into soup. He probably felt so great and not even like it's probably a feeling that so few people on this planet have experienced, you know what I mean, to that degree. Like, yeah, being a junkie and getting your hands on some fentanyl and shooting that up probably feels like physically really good. But I don't know how much, like, the gratification is there, and, like, the feeling that, like, "Yes, I accomplished that." I don't know how much that's there because you're just focused on the fentanyl. You're just like, "I wanna get this fucking rock of fentanyl into my body." It's all you're thinking about. So I don't think that that same level of Dahmer-esque gratification is there. Um, and so, yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer was really happy eating people. But, like I said, probably some of the happiest anyone's ever been. Like, I would say that level of happiness that Dahmer felt is like 1 in a million, maybe like 1 in 10,000,000. I don't know if I don't know if 1 in 10,000,000 people on this planet will ever experience that feeling of accomplishment and also that, animalistic thirst finally being quenched. I don't know if 1 in 10,000,000 people, definitely not in America, will feel that feeling that Dahmer felt. And so, yeah, point is he was pretty fucking happy. Just because someone's happy doesn't mean they're doing the right thing. I don't know. I guess that was my point with all that. But the libs, I'm not a lib hater. They are pretty annoying, and the really annoying thing about the libs is their love of academia. Because it's a love of academia without understanding the nature of intelligence or learning or thought or any of those things. Uh, yeah, they just really love it, and something about that's super annoying to me because, yeah, are a lot of are the vast majority of conservatives in this country, um, fucking retarded? Yeah, 100%. Same with the lips. The vast majority of them are fucking retarded. But a lot of those conservatives, uh, almost all of them, are retarded in every single aspect and really don't even pretend like they're not. Right? That's what I enjoy about the retarded conservatives in this country, whereas the libs, the fucking Malcolm X was right, dude. There's nothing worse than a white liberal. He was looking at it from the perspective of like black, what's it called? Fuck. It's not independence. There's another word for it, but basically black people choosing to segregate themselves. He was looking at it from that perspective. Um, but he was right in many other ways. There's nothing more annoying than a white liberal person. There's nothing more I would say devious. I don't know if that's the right word. Conniving. There's nothing more conniving. And that is kind of what he meant when he was talking about how there's nothing worse than a white liberal. He was talking about their conniving nature. There is nothing more conniving than a white liberal. Or there is one thing. There's one thing more conniving than a white liberal. And it looks a lot like a white liberal. But if you take a close look at the nose and a close look at maybe where a hat would go, you might be able to tell the difference between that and a white liberal. you might be able to you might be able to play a highlights game and tell the difference. We should do that. We should make an anti-Semitic, or no one's listening at this point. I should do that. I should make an anti-Semitic, anti-Semitic spot the difference, where you put like a white person and then a Jew, and it's like circle the things that make the Jew different. Nice little activity, nice little fun activity, for the kids to do. But I have been playing this game. Other game I've been playing, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, fucking rules. It's a sick ass game. I don't know if I've ever played a RPG game before, but if that's what this is, then I might start playing them a little bit more. Um, so I've been playing that. I've also been playing this other game called Ethnoguesser. It's exactly what it sounds like. If you've ever heard of GeoGuessr, GeoGuessr is a game where it shows you a picture of a random place on Google Street View, and then you have to guess where on the planet that is. And the closer you are to the correct answer, the more points you get. That is also the basis of Ethnoguesser. It shows you like uh, conglomeration of people from a certain race, and then you guess where on earth that race came from. I already played today's game, or did I? I might have not played today's game. Um, I just pulled it up real quick because I was like, should I play it on here? But then I was like, no, you're not gonna be able to see the screen. So I'm just gonna have to describe to you a person. But it's a pretty tough game, especially when you get in Africa. And the thing that makes Africa tough isn't that the different black ethnicities don't like are all look the same. They do all look different, but the thing about it is like there can be two completely different ethnic groups that live like right next to each other, if that makes sense, right? Like there can be a dude from Nigeria and a dude from, you know what I mean, Mozambique or whatever, completely different ethnic groups. I'm not talking about nationality or birthplace or anything here. I'm talking about ethnicity. And they can look exactly the same. And then there can be a dude from one side of Zimbabwe and a dude from the other side of Zimbabwe, and they can look completely fucking different. It's pretty tough. And also the Native Americans are it's a tough one, dude. Because I go to a Native American college. I see Indians all day. It's literally all I see all day. Um, and I can't. It's hard, dude. It's hard. Some of them look fucking Asian. Some of them look like straight up Mongolian. And it's also, I feel like it is kind of bullshit because we get people from all around the country who go to school here, all different tribes, reservations, and shit like that. Never seen anyone that looks like some of these people, some of these ethnicities that I've seen on Ethnoguesser. But I don't know. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not going to college. Probably not. They're probably getting blackout drunk and playing blackjack. Couple BBs. BB. Uh, Speaking of BB, the war in Iran is still going on. They're still. I ain't fighting for that shit. Fuck that. Even people will be like, I'll fight for America, but I'm not dying for Israel. Dude, I'm not even fighting for fucking America. It's like the government is and everyone here is controlled by certain certain country, right? Everyone here is. So it's like no matter what, you're going to be fighting for Israel. Is my point there? I guess this one is, I will say, a little bit more obvious. Venezuela a bit less obvious, and then immediately afterwards, it became obvious when we started shipping Venezuelan oil to Israel. But during it, it did feel a little bit less obvious. Although at this point, that is kind of my default. My default's like, oh, Israel told us to do that for some reason. Okay. Literally every decision the government makes is at any level, dude. It can be like the county commissioner or whatever implementing a new tax so that he can rebuild a road somewhere. I'm like, oh, Israel did this. Right? Israel told them to do that. That's just my default response to every action from the government at this point. And speaking of actions from the government, we got some fun little articles here to read. First one is a article about the government, and this is from CNN. Just so you know the type of Jewish bias you're facing here, it's all just different Jewish biasness, right? It's all it is. So anyway, CNN. So protests from Alabama to Wyoming and on the Arctic Circle. What to know about Saturday's third No Kings rally? Um, Before we read about this, the funniest thing to me about these No Kings rallies is that they're funded by George Soros. If you don't know, he's like a billionaire. Um, got busted for like insider trading. He got convicted of insider trading. I think I've talked about this before, but how, how egregious does your transgression have to be in the United States of America to get convicted of insider trading? W- our entire like high level political strata are constantly insider trading, right? Congress, the president, fucking the Supreme Court is probably insider trading. Dude, Clarence Thomas is probably buying Nvidia stock right now. Um, or he's shorting it. I don't know. I don't know what Clarence Thomas is up to. But they're blatantly insider. Everyone knows that they're insider trading, right? Literally every single human being in the country knows they're insider trading, and nothing has happened. So how egregious was George Soros's crime? And these are all crimes, but his must have been an especially egregious one, that he got busted. He got convicted of insider trading. It must have been absurd because he was a billionaire. Like everyone, you're probably thinking like, oh well, the Wolf of Wall Street, he got busted for insider trading. That dude was rich. He was rich as fuck. Some might even say. I think that's a quote from Shakespeare. Yeah, that dude from Wolf of Wall Street was fucking rich as fuck. I think that's from Hamlet, actually. No, if I mistake, it's from Henry the Fourth, Part One. But anyway, he wasn't even like a billionaire. I think he had like 50 mil, which is a lot, but compared to billions like George Soros has, that's nothing. It's a percent. It's a rounding error to a guy like George Soros. Um, and so these I don't know why they're calling him a king. I don't I don't understand it. Look, I'm not a big fan of democracy, but the guy was elect. Maybe they're saying he stole the election. Maybe they're getting a little bit QAnon with it. I don't know why they're calling him a king. But anyway, they believe he's a king. You know what I mean? Believe he's a monarch of some kind. Uh, and so they're calling him a king while they're supporting an oligarch, right? Because George Soros isn't funding these protests because he is doing it out of even like a political allegiance. He's not doing this out of a hatred for Trump. He's doing it so somehow he can get more money. It's all billionaires think about all day. If you're a billionaire, literally the only thing you think about is money. And also, oh fuck, Israel has that tape of me fucking and eating a baby. It's the other thing you think about when you're a billionaire. But anyway, Soros is funding these protests. And so he's literally an oligarch. He's a dude who to an extent controls the system in this country, financial systems, political systems, controls the systems. It, I don't know. I'd rather have a king than an oligarch. I guess is what I'm saying here. I don't know why you would rather have an oligarch or an oligarchy. I guess can't just have one oligarch. Then that just kind of becomes a monarchy. But anyway, um, or dictatorship. I guess maybe. But I would rather have a king than an oligarchy. I'd rather have a monarchy than an oligarchy. I guess is what I'm saying. Because a king is an obvious target, right? Like the king, to a certain extent, has to play nice with the peasants, us peasant cattle folk. It has to play nice with us because we know he's the king. We know where he lives, all that shit. And so if everyone suddenly decides to turn on him, then he's fucked, right? But an oligarch is a fucking snake. It's a rat that lives in the shadows, um, and comes in the middle of the night and steals food out of your pantry or whatever. That's what an oligarch is. So I'm just saying, personally, I'd rather have a king than an oligarchy. Um, but anyway, let's read about these fucking retarded protests. So anyway, millions of people are expected to join a national rally on Saturday to protest President Donald Trump's policies, the higher cost of living in the war against Iran, event organizers say. More than 3,100 No Kings demonstrations, about as many events as there are counties in the U.S., are expected in all 50 states, including an Alaskan city inside the Arctic Circle, fueled by a suburban groundswell of support. You're in the Arctic Circle, dude. Just keep eating fucking whale meat, okay? Look, I'm not saying they're wrong, but I'm saying if you're in the Arctic Circle, you got bigger fucking fish to fry, right? You have to worry about your day-to-day survival. Worry about sit this one out. Don't worry. There will be plenty of old, quote unquote, white people to attend these rallies. Okay? There will be plenty of them. Go get the fucking seal meat, okay? Don't worry about the protest. So the people of America are pissed and are the ones powering this movement. Organizer Sarah Parker, a national coordinator with grassroots movement 50501, who helped organize the events, said at a No King coalition. Sounds like they're not the ones powering the movement. It sounds like whoever is paying these organizers. So anyway, nearly 7 million people attended thousands of No Kings events nationwide last fall, organizers said, before clashes over the Trump administration's immigration enforcement crackdown had reached a frenzy. Since then, Trump's nationwide immigration enforcement blitz has come and gone in several major cities, leaving behind marred communities and 2 Americans dead through the actions of federal law enforcement. Now, Americans are facing skyrocketing gas prices and a flagging economy due to the war with Iran. Sounds like exactly what we've been experiencing my entire life. I I was born into the fucking financial crisis, dude. I don't know. I guess that kind of screws with your perspective, right? Like these Gen Xers and boomers and, some of the older millennials and stuff like that experienced in America I will never get to experience in a multitude of ways. Um, but that's been my entire life, right? As a Gen Zer, my entire life has been political unrest, financial instability across all strata, um, or most. 99% of people in this country have experienced fair amount of political or financial instability. Even people who are fairly well off have had to worry about things. So, yeah, it's a gay ass fucking protest organized by a Jewish billionaire. What's new? Okay. And so our second fun little article we have today is man arrested after leading police on chase inside stolen ambulance with patients inside. Or with patient inside. And you want to know the really fucked up thing about this whole thing is that the dude who was inside the ambulance, his insurance still had to pay. His insurance still made him do like a copay for the ambulance. I looked this up before I did the podcast, before I started. I like read the article and shit, and his insurance still made him pay for it, or like the ambulance company, right? Because I think it's a private service, still made him pay, and his insurance made him do the copay and all that shit. I'm just kidding. The guy didn't have insurance. That was the worst. That was the worst fucking thing. I apologize. I'll never apologize for my anti-Semitism, which Jews aren't even Semites, but not the point. I will apologize for that, though, because that was horrible. So anyway, this is from Pittsville, Wisconsin. A man is facing multiple charges after authorities say he stole an ambulance with a patient inside and led them on a chase. Wisconsin authorities said the situation started Tuesday night when the Rapids Fire Department was responding to a call for service. The team had an ambulance that was parked while crews were providing care to a patient, and that's when the suspect in the chase, later identified as Benjamin Feltz. Sounds kind of Jewish. I wonder if we can get a mugshot of this individual. Maybe he thought it was one of the Jewish. Look this guy up. Google him. Oh no, this is a different Benjamin Feltz. This is the same guy. Apparently he drank floor cleaner before being naked in public and stealing an ambulance. What the fuck? He does. Oh, it's really hard to tell. You know what I mean? Because when people start to gain a little bit of weight, a lot of the things that make them identifiable, either in terms of ethnicity or gender, start to kind of fade a little bit. And he's not like a super fat guy. He's barely even chubby, I would say. He's clearly a junkie of some sort. But he could be. He could be one of them. One's on the loose, dude. They're so used to just being able to do whatever they want. You know what I mean? Going into Palestine and just juggling babies and fucking slamming him on the ground like Gronk after a touchdown. They're so used to all that shit, they think they could just come here, drink some floor cleaner, and steal an ambulance. So, anyways, authorities said Phelps was already trying to avoid them when he got in the driver's seat of the ambulance and took off. The suspect had allegedly been doing push ups while naked in public before the incident. God. God, that's so fucking cool. This guy rules. That's amazing. Doing naked push ups in public, doing some fucking American Psycho. He probably watched American Psycho, but he watched an American Psycho fucking red pill edit on TikTok or whatever. Tweaked out on some K2 and started doing naked push ups in public. So, two paramedics were in the back with a patient at the time. They tried to stop Phelps, but he ended up getting away. According to Wood County Sheriff Sean Becker, Wisconsin, I almost said Wisconsin, Wisconsin Rapids police initiated the chase after the ambulance was reported stolen from the city. The chase headed west on State Highway 73. Wisconsin Rapids officers attempted to end the pursuit by deploying tire deflation devices but were unsuccessful. The chase continued into Pittsville, and officers were ultimately successful in stopping the ambulance by using stop sticks in a field. Phelps refused multiple commands to exit the ambulance but was eventually taken into custody after. Yeah, just kill this guy, dude. Like, I don't know. I don't know why we don't kill as many people as as we should. We're killing people in the wrong places. We're killing people in fucking Palestine and Iran. There's plenty of people to kill here in America. Just kill this guy. Is it really worth it? Oh, he can get better and he can redeem himself. No. Every cop should ride with a priest in the fucking passenger seat so we can baptize a guy with a fucking, you know what I mean, a super soaker or some shit right before the cop domes him in the head. We just need to start doing that, dude. No more. He didn't have a fair trial. No one has a fucking fair trial in this country. No one. No one has a fair fucking trial in this country. You can just hire a lawyer if you have enough money and get off on the case, or just give the judge a bunch of money. No one has a fucking fair trial in this country. We need to stop pretending like everything's equal and fair. Democracy sucks. I'm saying that now, but I don't know. Having a girl boss dictator would suck. But I don't know. Girl bosses can be alright. Olga of Kiev, she rules pretty hard. But anyway, that's all I got for this episode, guys. Pretty incoherent. Lots of pauses and stuff like that. I do think I should start pausing more, collecting my thoughts, all that good shit. But anyway, hope everyone listening, regardless of ethnicity, look, I know I talk a lot of shit about the Jews. Obviously, it's not all of them. There's a few good ones out there. A few good Jews. But anyway, hope everyone has a good day, a good week, a good year, a good life. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Ping.